when you don't have any clarity, then you're disempowered in dealing with whatever it is that's in front of you to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay? And how they deal with it, it's really up to them. They know their lives better than I do. Okay? All I want is to clear the smoke, so to speak, so that they can powerfully deal with what's really in front of them.
All right. We are going live. It is 5 p.m. Pacific. We are doing our bio conversation. Hello, ladies. Hello. If you're watching this replay, #replay. If you're watching it live, let us know. Say hi, where you're watching or listening from. And we have, again, back by popular demand. Or maybe it's just my favorite guest.
or maybe because you're related.
Aljor Pereira is my older brother, and if you haven't heard about him from the past conversation, so Aljor is my oldest brother, and he is a transformational coach, and right now he is live from Manila, Philippines, and he also lives in Bangkok, Thailand, but because of the COVID, he's settling in Manila for we don't know how long. So his experiences include being a senior program leader with one of the world's top companies that delivered transformational programs. And he's currently consulting with businesses and organizations in around Asia. And Aljor's commitment is a shift in human consciousness to transform businesses, society, and self. And his work is about people and organizations expressing their unique contribution to the world. And in over 15 years of leading personal and leadership development programs, he's transformed thousands of lives all over the world. Born in the Philippines and grew up here in California and was in the US for a while, and then moved back to the Philippines in about 2001 to bring the transformational work and the programs in Asia, and he's been there since. So that's really him. And as far as my bio for him, he's an amazing brother and is an inspiration to me, and also a great collaborative partner in this whole work we call transformational personal development, and really creating a world that works for all. And so I'm welcoming him back, and he's got some things to say for us, given the environment we're in with all the shifts that's happening around the world, and also probably even within ourselves because of what's happening out here. So welcome, Aljor Pereira.
Hello, everybody. Hello, how are you?
Did I miss anything?
No, I think you said it all. I think you said more than what I was expecting you to say. But thanks.
Oh, okay.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So if you're watching this live, good evening, good morning. If you're in the US, good evening, and if you're here in Asia, good morning. It's 8:00 in the morning here. So, and if you're watching this replay, please say hello and just put replay so we know that you watched it on replay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are we talking about?
So this is going to be an interesting conversation. But a little bit of a housekeeping. He just notified me that there may be a quick interruption. There's going to be some service people coming in, so they may or may not show up. So just in case, there's going to be a quick interruption to just let the guys in. All right. So creating shifts during uncertain times. And this is the group for the blossoming women, meaning that they're growing, shifting, developing, up-leveling. This is the blossom inside out. So, whether it's in this group or outside of this group, we're always in some form of growing and shifting, evolving. And so specifically this time, and I asked them, it's like, what can we talk about and share about, given all the different things that's going on in the world, where it's the virus, the COVID, the racial tensions, the economic issues, and everything in between, of course. Like, there's just so much, not just here in the US. Obviously, you're in Asia, you're also dealing with something probably more specific. And, there's just some form of shifting. I would call it, and I've been calling it disruptions to the status quo and normal way, whatever the normal is. So yeah, so let's dive into that. And I'm trying to ask you the question so we don't go deep right away.
So
I'm
yeah,
trying.
so can I begin with just asking you a little bit of what bio is about, because I'm gonna put this on my YouTube channel. So
Uh-huh.
I want people to know what you do and what is this bio. So if you can just give us like a couple of minutes of like a summary of what is bio.
Okay. All right. Yes. Bio inside out. So bio means blossom inside out, and what that is my mission in life. My work is really for women, and it's all about them blossoming, and it's blossoming inside out. So what that means is really unfolding, evolving, developing, growing from inside then to outside. So what it really is that I myself have gone through many areas in life where I've kind of like started outside in, and that really has not worked. and and that that was unsustainable. And then because of my own experience in life, because of the things that I've gone through, and because of also just through my own learning and through many studies and coaching and trainings that I've received, you know, we men and women, but specifically I do my special work with women. Um, we really thrive best and we really grow best and we embody what we receive and learn when we first
Mm,
start within. Whenever we start within, it has a sustainable aspect of it, and it's embodied deeper than just learning
mm,
things intellectually and learning things coming from outside and then in. So coming in and out and blossoming from there is what bio is about. So it's integrated: mind, body, soul, spirit. So that's really my work, is integrating the physical body, the emotional body, and of course the external outside, so the things to be in action on. So that's what this is
mm.
about.
Oh, cool.
I hope
Great
that,
to
yeah.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah. So back to the conversation of creating shifts around this time in our life, uncertain
Yeah.
times. And, even though we're talking about these uncertain times, what we're going to share about is probably at any time in your life. But there's something a little bit more special with when things are awry around us or within us.
Mm,
So,
right.
yeah. So anything you want to touch on
Well,
or start
yeah.
with that conversation?
I think, I just want to let you know that I've kind of had these conversations with different groups of people, and there's a lot of things out there that give advice, or tells people what we should do during these uncertain times. Okay. Now, why I look at it though, it's a little bit of different approach. As with my work, it's rather than giving prescriptive measures, it's really having people see things differently, bringing distinctions to the situation that they're in, and a lot of it is really just recontextualizing our relationship to whatever it is that we're challenged with, whatever it is that we're dealing with. So, for instance, you ask, how do we deal powerfully with these uncertain times, right? And I think we have to really start with a shift of how we see this thing that we're calling uncertain times. Okay. Because I think when we say, hey, we're dealing with uncertain times right now, it kind of implies that there are other times that were certain.
Mhm.
Okay. And therefore, these uncertain times are disempowering, vis-a-vis those certain times that we enjoyed,
Mhm.
which is an illusion, because if you really look at it, there's no such thing as certain time. Every time that we're living, every moment is uncertain. So whatever we're dealing with right now is nothing more than versions of what we've dealt with before. It's nothing special. But the moment we say, oh, we're in this uncertain times, now it creates a problem, right? And it creates a some kind of a disempowering relationship to these times. So I think we need to begin with, maybe saying that there's no such thing as an uncertain time, like
Mhm.
a
Okay,
disempowering
so
uncertain time.
yeah, okay, so good. So let me stop you there because it is a narrative that
Mm,
shows up when things are disrupted. It's something that we don't say when things are okay.
mm,
It's something that we don't say when, we feel good about what's going on.
right.
So I just want to say that for those watching and listening. And so we're really like trying to really unravel the narrative here. So you're not going, oh, they're just, poo-pooing, how I'm feeling or poo-pooing what's going on. It's like, no, we're not. What Alger is saying is that, we just created narratives in our lives, conditioned most likely by the culture and any, everything else around us, that we call certain times in our lives some
Hmm.
description based on how it feels for us or how it looks like, though it's always been the same. Is that about right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. In other words, these are just a difference in situations. Yes, but all the situations, I mean, every day of our life, it's uncertain. That's a fact. As a matter of fact, that's the closest thing that you can probably uh, come close to reality, is that life is uncertain. And most people are disempowered because not only there's a situation that's in front of us, but instead of dealing with it powerfully, other conversations are added to it that kind of muddles the whole thing. I mean, I'm not refuting the fact that there's disruptions, there's this COVID thing that we're dealing with, businesses are closing down and all these things, but none of these things are new. It has happened before in different levels, and where we get disempowered is instead of just dealing with the facts that's in front of us, it gets really blurred by adding so much other stories that we're adding to the situation.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So cool. I can't help, but I'm going to be like the devil's advocate here because
Sure.
I know
Sure.
how people, the discourse is not as deep as you would like it to be
Yeah.
out here in the world. So,
Yeah.
so, so,
And I,
so
and I it's I know you go ahead. No, you go ahead. Ask question, but but when you get it, it's really really simple. Okay.
yeah.
And it's nothing complicated. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, between you and I, we get
Yeah.
it. But someone out there will like going, okay, that's great, Aljor. It was certain before that on Monday I go to work, and
Mm.
now I don't even know when I go back to work. Or it was certain before that I could travel and see my parents, and now I don't
Yeah.
even know when I could travel and see my parents. Like, so there's those elements. There's like factual elements, which
Yes.
I'm sure we'll dig into it in a minute.
Mm.
There's factual elements, yet there's this human feeling is what I come up with, but I know it's not. There's another word for it, where it really does feels almost like another level of uncertainty than the uncertainty that was already the base.
But do you know that the feeling, okay, the experience, okay, which you're calling feeling, right?
Mm,
The experience is a result of the narrative that you're adding to the facts.
perfect. Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, in the world, there are things that are happening. It's something objective. Those are facts. And immediately we add some form of commentary about the facts, some kind of judgment, opinion, an interpretation or meaning or a story about what's happening. We're always living in these two worlds, which is the world of the facts and then the world of our commentary about the facts. But these two worlds are distinct and separate. And where we get in trouble as human beings
Mhm.
is that this two begins to get collapsed. And we're unaware that we have collapsed these two worlds. We're dealing with our commentary and the facts as if they're the same, as if they're one thing. Imagine right now, okay, we have this situation. I've been locked in this house for the past 4 months. That's a fact. There are certain restrictions. That's a fact. my ability to go out there and lead seminars, that there's been a shift. Okay, that's a fact. But I could deal with that, and I have some sense of wherewithal to figure things out. Okay, and if I was just dealing with that, I'm okay. However, if I add conversations like, this is not going to work out, I'm going to lose so much money, and I'll never get back to the way it was. Now I have added layers and layers and layers to what I need to deal with, which confuses the whole situation. It disempowers me. I'm no longer clear because I can't distinguish the two. I'm dealing with the situation as if it is the situation when in fact it isn't. That's what I want. That's what I try to get people to see, to separate their commentary about what's happening and just deal with what's happening. And when you can separate the two worlds, you have some clarity to deal with what it is that needs to be dealt with. There's a joke that when you don't distinguish these two worlds, it's like going to a restaurant, not distinguishing the menu from the meal, right? You go in there and you're eating the menu and you go, wow, that food here is terrible. When they're two separate things. So that's the same thing I'll tell people. It's like, you just need to pause long enough and really reflect and to see what is really in front of you. What are you really dealing with? Deal with what's happening, deal with what's so, and then also distinguish what are you adding to this? What judgments, what opinions, what stories, interpretations are you adding to these situations that if you take it out of the equation, you are more empowered to deal with what's there.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's a great concept. So you just actually just the last sentence you just said was probably helpful for people who are not actually as familiar with the distinctions.
Mm,
Which is like, how do they distinguish that they are in their story? How do they distinguish that they're in that other part of that's not the facts? So
mm,
people can still say that no, the fact is that I'm not gonna, they'll collapse the facts into the experience that they're experiencing, which is
yeah,
like I'm never gonna be successful here because
yeah,
I just lost my job that was available before the COVID, like that,
yeah.
right? So
Or my career is ruined, my life is
yeah, really,
ruined,
it's like
right?
for them, it's like that's so factual. It's like I'll give you evidence after COVID is done. It's like it's gonna be ruined. It's like so
Mm.
there's that. So how can they recognize that, or what are the steps we got without obviously doing a full on seminar or
Yeah,
you know, so
there's a couple of things that one can reflect on. Number one, you only live in this moment. Yes, we all exist in this moment, and right now here we are. We're talking on this device called the laptop, and I'm here sitting. And you're sitting in California. I'm here in Manila. That's what's happening. It's happening right now. I'm experiencing it right now. Anything else that I add to this conversation would be some form of a commentary. I can deal with what's happening right now. If the door buzzes because the service people come in, then that's what I have to deal with. Okay? It's a fact. It's here now. But if I'm thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, or what's going to happen a month from now, what's going to happen 6 months from now, and usually as human beings we think about those things, and a lot of times we think about negative things. So then it's not happening right now, and yet we are already dealing with it as if it's here, right?
mhm.
So imagine the anxiety it creates. Imagine the fear that it creates. Imagine the disempowerment it creates when you're engaged in this commentary, in these stories. That's not even happening. I can deal with what's happening right now. Give me a situation right now, and I have enough wherewithal to actually deal with what it is. But I can't deal with what might happen tomorrow, or I can't deal with what might happen next week. So that's one place. If it's not here now, it's a commentary. Okay. And then you got to distinguish, is this commentary serving me, or is it not serving me? Is it disempowering me, or is it something that's giving me some inspiration or some excitement? So the great thing about it is when I say commentary, it really is what it is. It lives in language. It's something that we are languaging. It's something that we are saying. So therefore, you can shift it at any given moment. But see, you and I can't control the circumstances that life throws at us. That's the fact. Okay, no matter no matter what kind of preparation, what kind of how prepared you are, no matter how you cross the T's and you dot all the I's,
Mhm.
life happens to us, and that's a fact. We can't control the situation, but then we can control how we react to the situation. But where we get disempowered is that we add a commentary to the situation. The moment we say, "Oh, this is a problem," now there's an emotional, there's something emotional attached to that already, rather than, "Oh, this is just a situation." No matter what it is, it's just simply a life situation, nothing more, nothing less than any other human being on the planet has ever experienced.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
that's really great. You said a lot of you dropped a lot of gold bombs there. I mean, I want to repeat this again for everyone. It's like if
Yeah.
it's not here now in this moment, it's a
Yeah.
commentary and it's an interpretation. So,
Yes.
like really,
That's one area.
really get that in, and then you may have to kind of like sit with that for a little bit because sometimes our
Mhm.
brain can't quite get that. It's like going, huh?
Yeah.
The brain may not quite get it yet. And oh, I had a good question to ask you, and I totally forgot because I wrote that down. I was like, oh, that's a good one to really understand. It's like if it's not
Mhm.
here now, right in this moment, it's a commentary, an interpretation,
Yeah.
and an
Story
opinion,
that you're adding.
and a judgment of the now.
Hmm.
And you kept saying like you can't handle the future. The other thing too that happens is like people are trying to handle the past.
Yeah. Trying to correct the past,
Yeah, right.
right?
Yeah, so that's the other,
Or
like we're not
or
here in the present, we're either in the future or in the past, and that's
yeah,
where we get disempowered, is that we're in the future or the past and not here.
correct. Correct. You're either regretting something from the past or fearing something that might happen or that may not happen in the future. Okay. Where where life lives is right here, right now, in this moment only.
Mm-hmm.
And only the situation only shows up in this moment. Everything else you add to it is not here. Okay, so that's one thing. And the second thing is, if you can create another point of view of the same thing, if you can create another story, then it is a commentary. Okay, it is a judgment. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
See, if I see this microphone right here, it's a fact. It's in front of me. I can feel it. I can touch it. But I can say something about it. I can make a commentary about it. This is a great microphone. Can I also say this is a lousy microphone? Yes. So if I can create two different things or three or multiple different commentary about the same thing, then it's a commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever I say about it, by the way, it's all valid because all judgments are valid. Just some judgments are more disempowering than other judgments, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you really get that, you can let go of judgments or commentaries that disempower you.
Is it also a I mean, it is actually. I was gonna say, is it also a description of things?
Yeah, it's some assessment of the situation you're in, a judgment of the situation you're in. So what I'm saying is, how you can tell is that if you can create a different point of view about it, then it's not a fact. A fact is a fact. You can look at it from all different angles, and it's the same. But our commentary is just a valid point of view about one particular thing. It's subjective. So the
Mm-hmm.
moment you can have somebody else say something different about it, that's also as valid as what you are saying, then that is now a conversation. That's now a commentary that you're attaching to the situation you're in.
Okay, good. So that's one way to help them distinguish that,
Yeah.
to recognize it. So
Yeah.
now, upon recognition, upon the awareness, upon the distinguishing the facts from the commentary, or the facts from the description, or the facts from a judgment. It's like, okay, great. So now I recognize that I'm now judging this moment.
Yeah.
Then what?
Okay. Well, so
Like,
once you
in other words, I'm just kind of like teasing out of you. It's like,
yeah,
so
sure.
then what can they
I mean,
do?
yeah. So again, like I said, I don't want to give advice on what people need to do. But what I want to provide is that they'll be able to look at things in a different way that gives them power, or at least to get them out of this space of being disempowered. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Can I just a minute?
Excuse us for a little bit of a service work here. So while he's doing that, let me just reiterate a couple of things that he mentioned, which is really recognizing when we're in a moment of disempowerment, we're in a moment of confusion, of angst, of any kind of experience is not empowering for us. Anxiety, all that stuff that's not it doesn't quite work for us. It's probably a good time to stop and recognize, like, how am I judging this moment? How am I interpreting this moment? So that's really like that's a quick little tip or question or inquiry for you in that moment. When things are okay, you're not probably even questioning it. But when things are not quite aligning or not quite congruent to what you want to happen, that's the best time to go, okay, how am I interpreting this moment? How am I judging this thing? How am I feeling that it's not related to what's going on now? So those are key questions to ask yourself. Okay, great.
Yeah, it requires us to pause and reflect and then choose. Oftentimes we're reacting to life. It's all like a knee jerk reaction. Situation shows up, we create a commentary, and then we're reacting to this collapsed commentary and the situation. So sometimes it just takes time to just really pause, reflect on what's happening, and then choose. And that's called responding to life rather than reacting to life. And we all have the opportunity to respond. And when you can pause for a second, you have an opportunity to choose how you're going to respond to the situation, and knowing that whatever it is that you have been adding to it before, it's not there. It's kind of like an illusion. The facts are the facts. The situation that you're dealing with is the situation you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So it really requires us to just sort of step back for a little bit, reflect on what's happening, and really get clear what is happening and what is not happening, so that we can take action to deal with only what's happening, because that's really all the thing that you can deal with.
Yeah,
You,
no, I want to stop you there for a second, because that's a really key element to the best question. I mean, it's one of the best questions to ask: what is not happening? Because usually a
yeah,
lot of the commentaries, a lot of the opinions and judgments are things that we think are happening, which is not happening. I think
correct.
the best question is like, what's not happening that I think is happening, or that I feel
Mm,
is happening, or that I think is gonna happen.
yeah,
You know?
it gonna happen is not happening,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah, so
And
that's a really that's a beautiful thing to just kind of like, if you guys are writing notes, that's a wonderful question to ask. The not
yeah.
happen.
And then so when people ask, how do I deal with this powerfully? Well, everybody has their own way of dealing with things. I'm just interested that they are dealing with what's happening rather than dealing with some kind of a mixture of what's happening really, plus all the different interpretations and meanings and judgments and opinions and assessments that they're adding to the situation,
Mm,
because that just confuses the whole thing. It just muddles it.
yeah, yeah, totally, totally. I mean, I think we all have experienced that, and it's like it doesn't take much to have
Yeah.
to have that lens of there's something else going on besides what's going on.
Right, right. I mean, for instance, that's a very simple thing about a commentary, right? So here we are. There's a challenge. Obviously, there's some situation going on that wasn't here 6 months ago. Yes, and one commentary and this is so simple, but we add to it, and we think it's really the fact. It's really true. Is that we say this is wrong, this is bad, right? And most people don't get this, that wrong and bad, or we say this shouldn't be happening, right? The moment we say that, we now create that this situation is wrong, and this is bad. This is that there's now an emotional attachment to it, then you go into fixing the situation, then you go into changing it, right? When what are you changing? You're trying to change the narrative that you added to the situation. The situation is just okay. There's a lockdown. Your business or your job is impacted. But if you're just dealing with that, then of course there's other ways to deal with it.
Yeah, and I caution to say that some people may hear this as as really the opposite of what you're saying, which
No,
is like, which
and,
is which is
and
like
and and I'm not trying to be positive either.
exactly.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
I just wanna
this is not mental positive attitude, because even positive is its commentary.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I know. It's like I just want to caution that I don't want this taken into some kind of a let's just be positive. Let's just think of good things, or the
No,
Pollyanna, or just being head in the sand kind of a thing. It's
no.
the opposite of what he's saying, because that's just another version of a judgment and opinion, whether
Sure.
it's good or bad.
Yeah. Good or bad is a judgment.
Well, it's also an opinion.
It- it- Good or bad doesn't exist in reality. You cannot show me anything good, like a thing, but you can say something about a thing and call it good or bad. Okay, so therefore it's a commentary, and good or bad could be said about the same thing, depending on who's looking. Okay, therefore it is a commentary. Therefore it is some form of judgment. That's why even the positive or the good stuff, it's still a commentary. That's why I said earlier when we started, I said it's so simple, yet it's so difficult to get, because we're so used to living our lives with our commentary about life as if it's what's happening, as if it's the fact.
Yeah. And I just want to take this down, and well, maybe I was going to say take it down a notch a little bit, but maybe not, because I know from experience. I mean, I'm in the U.S. and you're in Asia, so I know more of this what's going on here more than I'm sure you have things going on there that I don't know either. So people are so attached to this fact checking when it comes to like what's going on in our culture here, right? Or what's
Mm,
going on with with whether it's COVID or the social injustice, the racism and all that stuff that's going on. So people are like looking for facts, and it's just so muddled, and so like they don't know who to believe, which is another opinion, because now
right,
they're looking for the actual fact that's an opinion of someone else out there. I don't know if I'm making
right,
sense. So it's like
right.
it's really a complex system that we're in right now, with leadership, right? With
Hmm.
the policies, with the community, and then so I want to take it down to like us individually, ourselves, because I mean, I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, it really starts here. Our perception and how we view it becomes our reality.
Sure.
And so for us to be empowered with whoever's fact is being expressed in the news or in the newspaper or in social media somehow may not be so important in some way, because now we're really dealing with the facts that's happening for it's like how do we really become empowered for ourselves, because this is what this group's about. It's like really the inside out thing. It's like,
Hmm.
doesn't it begin for us to be like embodying that freedom and power of who we are, so we can have this clear way to respond and to take actions on what's the fact. It's like, because I know we're using the word fact, what you're really saying is to the present moment.
Yeah. What's real?
Because fact sometimes it becomes interpretation for people.
Right. See that's exactly that's the thing. People have facts, quote unquote facts, collapsed with their commentary or their interpretation or the meanings or the judgment that they add to things. That's why I said it really requires a pause and a reflection of what am I actually really dealing with. Okay. See, I'm just interested in people being free to deal with whatever situation that they're given. Okay. But when you're now when you don't distinguish that you're disempowered by some conversation that you're adding to the situation, then you're now muddled. You can now you can't deal with whatever's in front of you in a powerful way, in a clear, powerful way. So yeah, the only thing I'm saying to people is that really distinguish what you're adding to things. Pause and reflect long enough. So and distinguish what you're adding to it, separate it, and then choose how you're going to react to the situation.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're at 42 minutes. I just want to make sure you have time because I know you
Mm.
have another event.
Yeah,
Um,
I have a 9 o'clock class.
yeah, so okay, so I think where we are right now is a good time to just kind of like bring it to a close to like what they can do, kind of like summarize what we just talked about because
Mhm.
we could go really deep with this. This is not a quick thing, but however, you receive some nuggets here to just kind of like start inquiring, and I think that's the first step is to really start inquiring for yourself, you know.
Yeah,
And no one has commented on a question, so I'm assuming you're all either totally engaged or writing
or asleep.
or put this on pause. That's okay, but comment on after this under the live and just ask questions because Audra will go through it another time. So yeah, so ask those, take that pause, like you said, and then just check in every time you feel some form of disempowerment, some angst. There's something there where you're having some kind of an interpretation or judgment of what's happening in the present, right, in that moment.
Correct.
So that's really the
Correct.
clue. Like that's the clue. If you're
Yeah.
not feeling freed up, if you're not feeling empowered, if you're not feeling some kind of an ease in that moment, there's an interpretation that's happening for you that's not helping that situation. So it's good time to just go, what is it that I'm dealing with here that I'm
Yeah, there.
adding?
Yeah, well said. There's some commentary that is shaping how you're experiencing life.
Yeah,
Because I mean, life is just life.
yeah,
It's just situation, and some situations are requires a little bit more work to deal with, but we can all deal with it.
yeah,
But when we're adding something that we can't deal with, that's when we're really disempowered.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
how could you deal with some fear that might happen? You can't
yeah.
because it's not even here yet. It's not happening.
Yeah. And as far as the whole dealing with, it's like that could be a whole new section of conversation because when we say deal with, it doesn't mean that you yourself have to deal with it by yourself. So that's a whole new whole different conversation. What we're
Right.
just talking about is just being in the present moment so you could actually get clear, get all the smoke out, get all their filters out to really see what's going on. So the action you take next is related, congruent, in alignment to actually what's going on in the present.
With what's in front of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And really, this work is really deep and complex at the same time. And you've done so much work with so many organizations about this, a lot of people individually. And I know you started a whole new YouTube channel called
Ah,
uh,
yes.
Shift 10, which is it Shift
Shift
101?
101.
Shift
Yeah.
101. Yeah, and I would love everyone here to really subscribe to that and also watch because you just started sharing
Yeah.
really cool stuff
There's
there.
a,
I want them to have more
there's
of
like there's like 4 videos in it right now. So it's for those of you who are watching, it's something I just started, and really it's a response to what I'm sensing, which is really a shift in human consciousness. So as a matter of fact, like all the things that we're seeing, all the breakdowns that we're seeing around the world, really is a sign that collectively as humanity, we are ready to make this shift into some higher consciousness. Because for a long time, a lot of these things that aren't working are sort of shoved under the rug. We never really had our attention on it. But then the moment you have a shift in consciousness, wanting to have something at a higher level, what shows up naturally are what's not it, right? So seeing all these cracks in the system, cracks in relationship, how we deal with our environment, how we deal with each other, all the racism, all these things that are all showing up. In a way, it's a good sign because it's now saying if we as humanity collectively want to live in a higher consciousness, look, these are the things that don't work, right? So now we're confronted with it, and now we have to deal with it. So in a sense, for me, that's a sign that as a collective, we're ready to make that shift. And the channel is about really what the shift is about, and empowering people in different conversations. And my intention is to shift 101 million people in the world. That's why it's called Shift 101, right?
Awesome.
You know,
So
not
how
me.
did they find that?
Um,
How do they find that? They just type Shift 101 for YouTube
yeah, just Shift 101 on YouTube, and
or your
you'll,
name?
I'm
Or,
committed. I'm committed to have at least one new video every week. Starting the end of this month. So
Mhm.
I'm excited about that. And then then I continue to work with organizations around Asia, and create some conversation there too, especially with schools and colleges and things like that, because that is really what is needed to really create a new breed of conscious leaders in the world, and
Yeah,
that's my commitment.
yeah, for sure. The educational system and also the business world and organizations.
Right.
I really acknowledge you for the work that you do, and really being nonstop with it. And you're as human as all of us, so you're also dealing with your own stuff. So like we're all kind of like doing the whole human thing, and but what you do is really helping others, almost just like really become aware of being who they are. I mean, being present to who they are, and that takes something. It sounds like a cliche, and which is what I try to do too with the women. But it's really that's the deep work. It's like it's
Yeah.
being who we are in the present moment. It's like if we can get that, I think we have a whole different world.
Yeah. Like you said, a world with ease, right?
Yeah, we're
Because
not saying easy. That's different. That's a different
yeah, it's
description.
not easy. It's ease. In other words, dealing with whatever it is that's in front of us in a way that's powerful. Okay. We feel alive doing it. There's some aliveness, and we just gotta take all of our interpretations and stories and judgments,
Yeah.
and sort of set it aside. And how you can set it aside is to first recognize it, and that's really the work. It's not we'll never get rid of it. Okay, we're human beings, and we're always going to make up commentaries about everything in life. So
Always.
it's not about getting rid of it. It's about recognizing it, being aware of it when it's happening, and at that moment, some new possibility can occur, because you can set it aside, you can suspend it for a moment, and deal with whatever's really in front of you, rather than all the things that you're adding to it.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And so they can find you on YouTube, Shift 101,
Shift
or
101.
Perez, and he's also got a Facebook page, just Aljor Perez. And
Yep.
if you're in the group, obviously you're watching this, and so he's gonna comment, and he's actually inside the Blossom Inside Out group. We have a
That's right.
few men in the group, so yay! They're blossoming like us, ladies.
Right.
So thank you for your time. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for who you are. And ladies, in your blossoming, just stay present, take the pause, recognize, what's true in the moment and what you're actually adding, interpreting, judging, and making up stories about. And listen, like Aljor just said, it's like we're all humans. We have our defaults. Even the most masterful meditator still has stuff to say about things in life. So give yourself some compassion, because the
That's
other
right.
judgment about yourself is just another interpretation of who you are. So it's,
Exactly.
it's a nonstop unfolding. So thank you, ladies, for being here. Do share some things that you got in the comments with Alger and I. And to your blossoming, peace, love, and joy. I love you. Bye-bye. Anything?
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.